study. I pray that you be with the youth tonight as they hear the word, Lord, brought to them, and the kids, Lord, as they're taught tonight, God. Lord, I think you have something for us all tonight, God. And if we'll just open our heart to what you would have to say, Lord, I believe that we'll hear just what you got to say tonight. Lord, in your name I pray. Amen. Kids, you can be dismissed. Youth, you can be dismissed. And then Chris, if you get that video ready as they're going out. We're waiting for them to get out and we'll start again.
I just got blessed with a good wife. Not every guy has a good wife. Sorry. I mean, think about Job in the Old Testament. Think about Job's wife. She must have been a real piece of work. I mean, the devil took everything from Job, man. Killed his kids, killed his servants, killed his livestock, covered Job in boils and sores. But his wife did not die. That's saying something right there, isn't it? Like, hey, devil, Job's wife's right over there. I know. Trust me, leave her. I know what I'm doing.
If you have your Bibles tonight, turn to the book of Job. We'll go between 1, 2, and 3, and then we'll go to the very end here at some point here in chapter 42. But what we're talking about tonight is we're talking about the revealing. The revealing. And what I found to be true is this right here, is when pressure is applied, character is revealed. When pressure is applied, character is revealed. And that's why a coach will run you past your breaking point, and he does this because he wants to reveal your character. I've seen a lot of guys' character sink real low when they get really tired. It's funny how when you get tired and your mind doesn't work as well and your body doesn't work as well, what you'll resort to is whatever's stored up on the inside. And it reveals your character. When pressure is applied, character is revealed. Some will quit, and the coach needs to know when everyone is tired and the game is on the line, who will fight and who will quit. I mean, there's those people, there's those guys. I played ball all growing up, and there's those guys when it got tough, you didn't really want them on your team. I played for Jacksonville Christian, with Larky's son David, and we won a championship. And I remember when we got to the end, we went into triple overtime. Well, in triple overtime, I was running the defense there. There was a lot of guys who was panicking because maybe they were 10th graders and I was senior, maybe they were, and I was like, it was like, just calm down. And we ended up winning because, you know what, when pressure is applied, character is revealed. And people who normally maybe couldn't have made a play, and guys rose to the challenge. And tonight, that's kind of what we're talking about, is we're talking about what your trials will reveal. Job's trial wasn't about something that he had done, but God did use it for his good. You ever thought about that when you're going through something? When you're going through something difficult? It ain't necessarily that God caused the trial, but he might use the trial to make you better. I preached about this a few weeks back, talking about the grindstone, you know. I don't like the grindstone kind of parts of life where God takes me and he makes me a little sharper and he makes me a little better. And he puts me to, you know, he takes me to the task. I'm a little different. You know, when you put something to the grindstone, it's never the same, but it is more useful. And I think that's what Job has got here. It wasn't that Job was bad and needed to be taught a lesson. Actually, it was quite the opposite. God believed in Job, and God used Job's trial not to just teach him, but to teach him more. It wasn't that he was bad to start off with. He took him from good to better. I mean, I've known a lot of good players. We went and watched Jacksonville Christian play last night. There was a guy that played for rank, and he was good. JCA won. Yeah, go JCA. School history, going to the regional tournament. I'm excited about that, playing basketball. There was a guy on Rackman's team. He was really, really good. But you know what? He could get even better. And he will. He'll go to the next level, and he'll get even better. It's something about God taking you from a place where you were good to a place where you're better. And I think that a lot of times we don't want the trials, but the trials make us better. God uses something that's difficult for us to sharpen us a little bit. Have you ever thought, Or have you ever had that something that you thought, man, this is good. This is good. And you thought, but just wait. Wait until I get done with it. Because it's good now, but it's going to be awesome later. You know, I'm not real good at building things, but I know some of you guys can look at things and you say, yeah, that's good. Well, let me get a hold of it. Let me make some modifications. And you start getting things. And Neil, I seen you when we was working on the parade float. He was spouting off measurements and sizes and things and doing math in his head. And I'm over there going, just tell me where to staple the green cloth at the bottom, you know? Now, I'm not real good at this. But he could see something and he could take it from good to better. And I think that's what God is doing with Job here. He's taking him from good to better. He's saying, oh, it's good now, but wait till it's done. It'll be awesome. And God took all that happened to Job and what the enemy meant for evil, he turned it for good. It's not that God did it all to Job, but I do believe he allowed it. Well, I know he allowed it by reading the book. But what he did through it made the devil seem even weaker. Think about it. Maybe how you respond to your trial is what God's going to use for his glory. It's not that I love it. It doesn't feel good to my flesh at the time. I guarantee you, if you read Job, it didn't feel good to him. I mean, he had a lot of bad things happen. But what it did do for him in the end was it made him better than he was in the beginning. Job understood pain, disease, and heartbreak, and loss like he'd never experienced before. I'm telling you, when you've been through something, and you've sat where somebody is, it's a lot easier to relate. Now, do I want to go through everything that everybody's been through? No, I don't. But I do realize that it takes me to places that I've never been before. And it revealed to Job who he was. That's one of the things it revealed. It revealed to Job how people can be. That's the second thing that it did. And it revealed to Job the devil's plans to kill him. But the trial also revealed the character of a mighty God. And we'll look at that here in just a minute as well. A God that allowed Job to be touched, but didn't allow Job to die. A God that took the storm and strengthened Job through it. See, sometimes trials come and God used them to not make you good, because I believe many of us are already good. But I think he uses them to make us better. And we already love him supremely, but he takes us to places we've never been to experience things we've never experienced. And some of the things that you're praying for might just be birthed through a trial. Lord, I want to go deeper with you. Let me tell you how you can become deeper with God. Have a brain tumor. All of a sudden you're saying, Lord, I'm going to need you to show up. I'm going to need you to do something. Have a bad report. Have a difficult circumstance. Have something come up in your life. And then all of a sudden, I'm telling you, you'll get deeper with God quickly. Because you'll need him at that point. So what I want to show you, first of all, is for Job, the trials revealed who his friends are. You know, sometimes it's true when the tough get going, or when the going gets tough, the tough get going. That's true. And sometimes when the going gets tough, people just get going. You look around and people who you thought would be there aren't there. And the people that you wasn't thinking about, all of a sudden they're the ones that are there. And their character is revealed to you when what? When pressure is applied. If you're looking at Job, turn to Job chapter 2. Job chapter 2. And I want to point out a few things. Job's friends wasn't all bad. We kind of give them a bad rap, but they really wasn't all bad. Job chapter 2, and it's verse 12. And this is what it says. This is the NIV version. It says, when they had lifted up their eyes from afar, they could barely recognize Job. Now, why could they barely recognize him? He'd been through so much. He looked bad. And they began to weep aloud. And each man tore his robe and threw dust in the air above his head. They loved him. Just like if I was to see one of you and you were in a bad shape, bad situation, and you didn't look recognizable, it would be sad to me. And then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights. I'll be honest, I don't have very many friends that will do that. You know, I love to talk about all the bad they did, but I do want to point out some good. They sat with Job for 7 days, 7 nights. They also tore their robe. They also wept for him. They also threw dust on their head. These are actually people who love Job. They wouldn't sit with him for 7 days if they didn't. And no one said a word to him because they saw how great his suffering was. Have you ever been in a place where it seems so bad that you was like, you know what, I don't even have any words for you. The best thing I can do, I can just sit here. I can sit here with you. I know you're hurting. But what I love about it is Job's friends friends showed up for him. That's how difficult it was. His trial revealed his friends. They showed up. His real friends showed up and they sat with him. We call it this. We call it the ministry of presence. And the ministry of presence is like this. It's like, you know what? I didn't come to solve your problems. I just come to be here. People don't need to shrink in moments of trials. People don't need to tell you everything that they've done wrong and why you ended up like this and why it's bad. But they just need you to be there. It's like the little kid who said, I need somebody with skin on. I just need somebody with skin on to lay next to me, and then I won't be afraid. Sure, my prayers are great, but it's nice when I have a K-Drew, and he sits there with me. When I have a Brett, I remember I came out of surgery, and I was laying up in my bed, and Brett came in to see me, you know, and it was nice to have somebody with skin on. And the problem with Job's friend is something we can do if we're not careful. We can go from just being there to speaking. It's our need to have an answer. Look up, if you flip over to Job chapter 3, verse 1 and 2, this is where it begins, the problem. I want to show you this. I don't even know if I have this there. Job chapter 4, 1 and 2. Then Eliphaz the Temanite replied, if someone ventures a word with you, will you be impatient? But who can keep from speaking? Well, that's where you messed up, Eliphaz. You needed to keep speaking. Because really you didn't know. And a lot of times we can have the best intentions, and we can have the best and be totally wrong. Because we open our mouth. And our biggest problem comes from speaking. I think Job's friends meant well, but they were wrong. And they begin trying to reason and tell Job why he is going through all that he's going through. And the problem is that they're wrong. Okay, Drew, I'm sorry you're suffering. This is why you're suffering. Let me tell you. This is why you're going through what you're going through. And then all of a sudden, you know what I'm doing? I'm putting burdens on K-Drew that aren't K-Drew's burdens. Because it may not even be true. And they start telling Job all these things. All his friends start speaking these great mighty things about this is why you're going through what you're going through. And if he didn't know better, he would believe them. And it probably, instead of encouraging him, it discouraged him. Imagine this. If you're going through something already, and then somebody says, well, this is just God being mad at you. People do that. This is just God's wrath poured out on him. No, his wrath poured out on Jesus. You know? And when you speak your opinion into a situation that someone is going through, it often does more harm than good. I had someone tell me that I went through my brain surgery because it was something that I did wrong and God was angry with me. That's why they told me that. And they did more harm than good. Not that I believed it, but I definitely want to hear that. And they said, the reason why things are happening to you, the way things are happening to you, is God's wrath poured out on you. And I'll be honest, that's not what I wanted to hear. And it wasn't right. And I had real friends who come, though, like Joe's friend, and they sat in the dust with me. Realistically, I needed relationships more than I did reasons. Come on. I don't know the reasons why things happen. I never once asked God why. Why not? Maybe that's a better question. Why hadn't it happened to me before now? Why have I lived 37 years almost without anything really major happening to me? I don't know. I've experienced loss. I've experienced things, but why haven't I had things like this happen to me? That may be the bigger question that we have. And for Job, it revealed who his friends were when they come and they sat in the dust with him. And then also it revealed who his friends are when they started to speak. And you know what? When trials happen, they reveal who our friends are. Because your friend, when they can be your friend through your trial, they're your real friend. Right now, I know who my real friends are. The trials produce people. And what I've learned is they'll come out of the hiding to reach out to you during your time of trial. And I've learned this. I know that people love me because they love me. They love my kids, my wife, and my family. And you know what's great about this church is when I went through a difficult time, and I can speak for myself, is you all showed up and sat in the dust with me. Ain't that we had it? I mean, we just had to endure for a while. And I didn't need the why of why did I have to go through it. I needed the who of who is here now. And I think that's what Job needed the most. He says, I know Job's friends are wrong because at the end, God speaks in the end, and he tells his friends this. I want you to flip over to Job chapter 42. I know we're jumping around a little bit, but I can't give you 42 chapters in a 30-minute lesson. I don't have that kind of talent. And if you don't have your Bible, you can always follow on the screen. Verse 7. And this is what I love. I want to point out some things to this. Verse 7 of chapter 42, it says, after the Lord had said these things to Job, he said to Eliphaz the Temanite, I am angry with you and your two friends because you have not spoken the truth about me as my servant Job has. So now take 7 bulls and 7 rams and go to my servant Job and sacrifice a burnt offering for yourselves. My servant Job will pray for you, and I will accept his prayer and not deal with you according to your folly. You have not spoken the truth about me as my servant Job has. So Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and so far the Namathite did what the Lord told them, and the Lord accepted not their prayer, he accepted Job's prayer. And after Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. I think these people love Job. They showed up. They sat in the dust. And I think they would have not been there if they didn't love him. But when someone is suffering, it's very human for us to need the why. So I believe when they spoke, it began to pour out of their flesh and not their spirit. What they had to say. Because what? I mean, if Cater's going through a horrible ordeal, I'm going to be like, why is Cater going through that? And when I finally have something, maybe I go to him and I say, this is why you're going through what you're going through. And what I love about this is you're wrong. God spoke to him and said, you're wrong about what you said. You're wrong about what you said about Job. You haven't spoken the truth like Job has. And now, don't go to me and ask for forgiveness, but go to Job. And when he prays for you, I'll accept his prayer, but I won't accept yours. It makes us look at our situations where we have people who go through trials so differently. We look at the situation, you know what? It would be better for us to show up and be quiet than to show up and to speak. When you're going through, all you need is encouragement. I'll just be honest with you. I don't have answers, but I do have encouragement. When you get a war, when they ordain you as pastor, you don't come with all the answers to all the questions. And Randy and Cater definitely can tell you, sometimes you just don't have the answers. So all you can do is you can show up. And when someone is suffering, it's very human to need the why. But we have to be careful with our words when we speak to suffering. And there's some people right now, even in this body, that I know are going through suffering right now. And they don't need you to come to them and tell them the why. They need you just to come to them and love them. And so trials, they reveal who your friends are. They do. And some of you say, I used to have friends, but I went through something, and they weren't there. And I'll be honest, they're just not my friend anymore. That's the reality. When I'm going through, if you can't be friends with me when it's difficult, I really don't need you as my friend when it's great. When everything's working like it should. And I'll be honest, the friends that Job had that come and sit in the dust with him, he did pray for them in the end. You know why? Because they come and sit in the dust with him. He still loved them. Even though they were wrong. Their intentions were correct. So trials reveal who your friends are. Trials also reveal who you are. Job, if we flip back now, and we've been to the very end, now we'll go back to the very beginning. I'm sorry, I'm flipping you a bunch of places. Job chapter 1. Job, all these things happen to Job. Yet, he doesn't curse God when things go south. His wife tried to get him to curse God, but he didn't. It's because trials reveal who you are. You know that verse that talks about out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks? When you speak and things come out of your mouth that you know are not good and not godly, and you say things that aren't true, and you're mad, and you say something that comes in and just pours freshly out of your mouth, you know what? It's on the inside of you. There's things in there that need to be dealt with. When you find yourself lying, gossiping, and doing all these things, there's things on the inside that don't need to be there. So they get revealed. They vomit out of the mouth. See, when trials happen, it hits your heart, and then it reveals what's in your heart. For here, it reveals who you are. Job chapter 1, verse 8. Look here. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. And then Satan says, does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You bless the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to his face. The devil's fixing to see what Job's made of. And I love the confidence that God has in Job. It's like, go ahead. There's nobody like you. I got to say on that, but I'll say it in a minute. The Lord said to Satan, very well then, everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger. Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. One day when Job's sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing nearby, and the Sabians attacked and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword, in other words, they killed them, and I'm the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, the fire of God fell from the heavens and burned up the sheep and the servants. And I'm the only one who escaped to tell you. You, my friend, are one lucky individual. And while he was still speaking, another came and said, the Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties and swept down on the camels and made off with them. Then they put the servants to the sword, and I'm the only one who escaped to tell. And while he was still speaking, yet another messenger came and said, your sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the older brother's house, when suddenly a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it collapsed on them, and they are dead. And I'm the only one who escaped to tell you. At this, Job got up. And number one, I don't even know if he can get up when something like that happens, but he did. Why? Because your character is revealed when pressure is applied. And he got up, and it reveals who he is. And he tore his robe, and he shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in what? Not in complaining, not in griping, not in a pity party. It says, no, he fell to the ground in worship. And he said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will part. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. And I love this verse. In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. See, it reveals who you are. We don't like trials. We don't like difficulty, but they're revealing. They pull back the mask. They show the real show. Job has just lost almost everything. We saw from a little comedy before. Of course, he did lose his wife. But he lost his herds and animals. He lost his servants. He lost his children. And what's funny is in the next chapter, you know where he says, but don't lay a hand on him? God actually gives the devil permission to lay his hand on him. He says, oh, if you let me touch him, then he'll curse you. So the devil touches him, and he breaks out in all these hives and boils, and it says he just scrapes himself with pottery. We'll look at that verse here in a minute. And he's basically broken out from head to toe in sores. But somehow he maintains his integrity. I think that the Job during this storm was built long before the storm came. I believe the storm was not his reason for suddenly calling on God. He actually knew God before the storm. He may be weakened and crushed to his very foundations, but what we see in Job is his foundations were built upon God. And when everything else was stripped away, what happened? His character was revealed. Love this about Job. If you look at the story, it tells you how Job knew God. Let's go right here. Look at this again. One day the angels came to present themselves to the Lord, and also came when the Lord said to Satan, where have you come from? And Satan answered the Lord, from roaming the earth, going back and forth on it. Then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless, an upright man, a man who fears God and shuns evil. The first person on God's mind in all the earth. Satan said what? He said, I've been roaming the earth. I've been looking to him for. He says, oh, the first person on his mind. Have you considered Job? That tells me who Job is. He was the first person on God's mind. The first name that comes off of the God Almighty's lips was Job. And we don't see God offering anyone else up. What's he do? He sends in his strongest player. God even tells the devil this. He says, there's no one on earth, there's no one else on earth like him. See, Job, he doesn't even know that he's so favored by God. And you know what's funny about Job? He's not even an Israelite. He's not. And he has no idea that God's in his corner going, you know what? Here's my best player. If you're about to win the championship, who do you put in? You put in your best. If you're about to fight your biggest battle, who do you bring up to fight? You bring up your best. And so what did God do? Sure, look, from Job's standpoint, it's pretty bad. Everything just died. Everything just went away. Everything from his eyes on looks horrible. His kids have died. He's questioning himself. He's questioning all that's going on. And then what happened? God on the other side that he can't see is saying, you know what? Here's my best player. There's nobody else like him. That's the kind of relationship that we ought to be going for. Job didn't wait for the storm to know God. He knew God long before it. And when things are good, we can often forget about our relationship with God. When our need for his hand decreases, our time spent with him can too. God, I need you. Oh, I need you. I need you to get me through this day. It's tough, God. And then all of a sudden, when there's sunshine on every corner and the wallet's full and everybody loves you, where's your time with God? See, Job had this relationship with God long before his kids were ever killed and his servants were burned up and all of his livestock was stolen away. He had a relationship built on God long before that. So if you're not going through something, when's the time to know the Lord? Now. Know him now. Build that relationship strong now, so that when the wind comes and it blows against you, when God puts you up there, or when something happens to you, maybe that God allows, that you can say, you know what, God, I lean on you now because I just know you and I love you so strongly and so supremely. Today is not any different than yesterday. Although my circumstances have changed, you have not changed. And so I live for you, and I long for you. And you know what? When the news is good, I live for you. And when the news is bad, I'm still going to live for you. He's the strongest player. And he ain't waiting on the storms to know God. Job didn't do that. People used to ask me when I was leading the ministry at Edgewood Elevation, and all that ministry had done, we'd done a bunch of outreach to the city of Anniston. We'd go into the schools. We hosted a camp for boys from Anniston School, and we did that. I said, how do you pick who helps you? I thought there was some great knowledge. And I'm sure they were expecting some great answer, like we go through this process. I was like, whoever's there. Because the reality is, whoever's there is whoever's going to work. And when you turn around and you look like this, and somebody's standing next to you, and they're willing to do, like, I remember one time me and this guy, we scrubbed this bathroom, and there was yellow foam coming up. And let me tell you, the yellow was pee from where we were scrubbing the floors. And we're two very important people in this ministry. We're going to have 200 or 300 people in the church in just an hour or two. And we're in there scrubbing this bathroom. And he's in there with me, and we're getting the foam up, and we're trying to make the bathroom smell better so it doesn't have urine all over it on those sidewalls next to the urinals and all these things. And and everybody thinks it's great and glorious and you got this great job. But really the truth is whoever's next to you. So when something came up, who did God grab? He grabbed the person closest to him. He grabbed Job. He said, there's nobody like this guy. I've been roaming the earth. The devil had been looking for somebody to tempt. And God goes, here he is, right here. I hate the circumstance of Job. I don't want to put the things that Job's put through. But I do like the respect that God has for him. He says, who can go through this? Here he is. Let him endure. Because he's going to win in the end. I always told people, I said, I just grab whoever's closest to me. And God had Job on his mind because he was close to him. See, the trial reveals the kind of man Job is. And let me show you more of a verse that speaks to the character of Job right here. Then Job took a piece of pottery, a piece of broken pottery, and scraped himself with it as he sat among the ashes. And his wife said to him, are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die. We look at her so bad. Even the comedy's like, she's so bad. He had his hands full. No, she looked at him and she saw him suffering and she loved him and she just wanted him to be relieved. So she said, you know what? Curse God and die. It would be better than you having to suffer like so much that you're having to suffer right now. I need a reason for why you're suffering. And so my reason is I don't have one. So just, it would be better for you to die than to keep laying here and suffering the way that you are. And that's really what verse 9 tells me is this is somebody who stood beside Job. She just lost all of her children too. And Job replies this. He says, you're talking like a foolish woman. Shall I accept good from God and not trouble? Job's wife was hurting. The trial did something else. It revealed her weakness. She hurt for Job because of all that he had experienced. She hurt for herself because she had lost her children. And she saw her husband suffer. And now someone close to Job as his wife tells him to give up and die. Yet Job lived on in spite of his circumstance. And he never cursed God. What do we have a tendency to do? We have a tendency to blame God when it's difficult. Why did you let this happen to me, God? Why did you let me go through this? The funny thing is that we forget Him, is that we forget Him in our successes, but we remember Him in our failures. Oh, everything's going great. Oh, I got plenty to eat. I got a nice house. I've got nice clothes. Oh, what about that? Oh, I'll get to Him when I get to Him. I'll read my Bible when I have time. Oh, all these things are good. Oh, you may have cancer. Oh, Lord, I need you. Isn't that how it goes? A lot of times we have these good things that happen to us, and it reveals our character. The trial reveals our character because in the good times it was like, where is God? And then the bad times it's like, where are you, God? Job knew where his blessing had come from, and he accepted the good and bad that come out of it, and the trial revealed the man, and when the smoke settled, although he was scarred, he still stood. I like that about Job. He's tough. I have one more thing here. Is after the storm, not only did the trial reveal his friends, not only did the trial reveal his character, but the storm and the trial also revealed God. And God spoke after all of Job's friends had tried to explain Job's problem. And God didn't tell Job about why his troubles came. He just pointed out to who he was in the midst of them all. God didn't tell Job, he says, oh, you're experiencing this difficulty because I told the devil this and all. He says, where were you when I put the stars in the sky? Where were you? Where were you when I did this? Where were you when I told the ocean it can only come this far? Where were you, Job? It's almost like God's mad at Job, but he just tells him who he is. And he reminds him who his character is. And I love that about it, because Job realized how small he was next to God, and God showed him his power. And through the storm and in the difficulty, Job finally saw God. And he experienced God like he never had before. Sure, he had been blessed, but now it was different. Yeah, I got to flip to this one, but Job 42:5 says this, my ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen what the trials reveal and take you to places that you've never been before, to experience things that you've never experienced before. They're difficult. They're not impossible. Why? Because everything that God says, where were you when you did this work? It ain't about you. It's about how big your God is during this trial. He was sheltering Job. He was only letting the devil come so far. Sure, you can touch him. Sure, you can strike him. But you can't kill him. You can't take him out. Sure, you can get this close to him. But that's as far as you go. And the devil had to respect the boundaries that God set. And I'll tell you, in the trials that you're going through and the difficulties that you're going through, the devil has to respect the boundaries that your God has put on him. You have to be close to someone to see them. That's what I know. Job says, I've seen him now, God. It's because his trial brought him closer to God. And it revealed who God was. Job had known God before, but the experience now was different. It's like if I just had a tape and I listened to Cager all the time, and I would feel like I knew him from what he said. But when I meet him face to face, when I hug him or I touch him, and he's my friend, I know him differently now. And that's what Job's saying. He says, I'd heard of you, God. And it was enough. I built foundations upon hearing about you. I built my whole life around hearing about you. But now my eyes have seen you. I mean, when Elijah, I remember when he was in April's belly, he was still as much alive as he is today. But when he came out, My eyes saw it. It was different. The relationship was different then. It's just like this. The storm had revealed the Savior, and Job had seen him close up. Not in the blessing, but he actually revealed it to him in the bleeding. I'll be honest, I like the mountaintop. I hope and pray, and I've been praying, I said, like, Lord, I want a mountaintop kind of year. That's just what I want, the year of Jubilee. If you can just let me have some ease, that'll be good with me. Last year's kind of tough. I told people, I said, I'd like to just take the eraser and erase some things from last year. I'd attempted to erase the whole thing. But I do understand the closeness of the reckoning. I do understand. There are certain things that are only revealed in the pain. I remember when Hojo was born. She was born 10 weeks earlier. And she was born at 5 o'clock on Saturday morning. And I was walking out of the ER to meet our family that had just drove over an hour. Like they told us, like, hey, we got to get her now. And it was kind of one of those things. And by the time April went through surgery, I hadn't seen Hojo. She was wrapped. They had her in this like plastic bag thing with this tube going down her throat. And she's a little bit. She's 2 pounds, 2 ounces. And I remember just like, well, this is more than I can handle. And I remember just walking out. And I remember I was like, God, what are you doing? And it's just as clear as day. It's like I'm making a man out of it. And you know what? I don't have those kind of experiences, and I don't have those kind of times any other time than the troubles. It's something about the troubles bring me closer to God because He stands next to me in between me and the devil. And He becomes the border. He becomes the barrier. It's not comfortable. I know that. But it is beneficial. And so what I would say is, during your trials, realize that God is revealing something new to you. And He's revealing Himself to you. And He actually is close when you're going through difficulty. I know sometimes it can seem like you're silent, God. Why are you silent? Maybe He's just doing the ministry of presence. Maybe He's just sitting there with you for a while. You might not hear Him until after it's all said and done. But I know this, the character of God is revealed when pressure is applied to our lives. Something about diamonds, they form under pressure. Things happen that way. So I hope you take, if you want to go back, man, you can read the whole story. You can read the lines and lines where his friends tell him all these things, and none of them are true. And they're just lashing stuff on him. Yeah, man, go ahead.
Probably 3 of the strongest books in the Bible, Job 38, 39, and 40. And even Job didn't really doubt God. Job had just got finished listening to all his friends. Then God comes into the story. He deals with Job first. Then, if you notice in 41, he deals with his friends. So, I mean, that's really important how he, in this, if you read that, and you're going, it makes you just understand God so much when you start asking Job these questions. And so, evidently, God had to let Job know after he heard his friends, because sometimes we get bad information. God would let him know and he set him straight. Job didn't question him, but he had to have questions after that. So Job,
He may have questions, he may have had some doubts. Like, where are you? What's going on? And God comes on the scene also strong in those chapters too.
yeah, they're very strong chapters.
Yeah, if you got some, if you want to do some reading, the book of Job is a good one to read. I know
It's easy to read too.
Yeah, it is an easier to read book of the Bible. Much easier than like a Daniel or something like that. So
Ridiculous.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Anybody?
No, there's also a real clear indicator if you want to look at the Mosaic laws on sacrifice of just how upset God was with his friends. He asked for 7 bulls and 7 rams from each of them. That's 14 years of atonement from each of them.
That's true. It's a big request, isn't it? And that's where we can get in trouble into speaking into situations that we don't have any business speaking into. When we're supposed to just show up and not throw up. What I mean by that is say things that people don't need to hear. And us ministers, we need to be just as mindful of that as anybody. We just show up sometimes. That's good enough. A lot of times we'll just say, I don't have an answer for you. I'm just here, whatever you need. Anybody? Let's pray. God, we love you. We thank you for this night, God. And I pray that you do reveal yourself to us, God, in ways all the time, God. I pray that we could see you in the good times and the bad, God. And we could really just praise you and honor you and glorify your name, God, lift you up. I thank you for everyone that's here tonight. I pray you work in their lives and you teach them something, God, through each circumstance of life, God. In your name I pray. Amen.
Hey guys, Jeremy here from Cornerstone Fellowship Weaver, part of the media team. We want to thank you for watching. We pray that something you heard today inspires you, encourages you, or most importantly, excites you about digging into God's Word. We're excited what God has planned for your life and for our church. We invite you to join us any Sunday, 10 a.m. for our services, or Wednesday nights at 6:30. God bless. We'll see you soon.